And good morning, everybody out there. Thanks for joining us once again. Monday morning, it's a hot one all weekend. That might make you disabled. If you have questions about that, you stay tuned and we'll talk about it right after this.
I want to be your disability rep.
And here we are back talking about that weekend. 102 yesterday.
It was hot.
It was very hot. I stayed out of it as much as possible. Well, completely as far as that goes. I didn't go out. I grilled steaks Saturday afternoon. And that was late evening, 3 or 4. It was still hot, but I didn't sit by the grill either.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I would come in.
I would love to fire up the pizza oven, but not on a day like yesterday.
That's right.
700 to 800 degrees.
Yeah, my wife was like, I'm trying not to turn on the oven today, so we're going to eat leftovers. But anyway.
My mother used to cook biscuits in a pan when I was a kid on the hot days to keep from turning on the stove.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure lots of people in this part of the country had that experience.
Oh yeah, especially pre-air conditioning.
Oh yeah.
I remember that. I think I had a house, we grew up in a house with no central air. It was just some window units here and there, and that's a different world.
We didn't have air at all.
Yeah.
Dad always said that it ruined you for work.
I guess that's right. First
And
world problems,
right.
huh?
Yeah.
Speaking of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are we going to do about that?
Well, I just thought today we'd talk a little bit about how disability is determined in general.
Yeah.
Real basic subjects, but something that's on a burning question for a lot of people.
Well, and good to revisit it too. So, what's the overview there?
So it's pretty basic. Social Security has 5 steps to determine if a person is disabled. And step 1 is very simple. Are you working full-time competitively? And so that's real simple, usually a yes or no. Now, bear in mind, there are some folks that are working in positions in which employers like them, maybe giving them extra breaks or extra accommodations or reduced workloads. Social Security calls that subsidized earnings. They can reduce the value of that work in some of their calculations of income based on how much accommodation you get. Sheltered workshop, of course,
now, is that
isn't
a good thing or
work either.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Oh, no, it can be a good thing.
Okay.
In some situations, for example, I had a gal that worked in the hospital in Joplin years ago, the Mercy Hospital. She had tumors on her lungs that would essentially pop, and when that happened, it would deflate her lungs. And so the folks at Mercy, this is going back to when the sisters ran the hospital, they bought the house next to the emergency room, closest one to the hospital, and they put her up in it. So she could always be close. She worked in the ER. People there donated their Apple time, they called it, which was their vacation and leave time to her. And so some weeks she'd work 5 or 6 hours.
Yeah.
And the rest of it was other people's vacation. And so when Social Security looked at those earnings, she was able to make more money than what we would traditionally see because it was somewhat gift or subsidy.
I see. Okay.
And so she had a higher income than what most people who file for Social Security would have.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And so at step 2, we look at whether or not your condition interferes with your ability to do basic work activities. And these are things that we all have to do in every job, right? Stand, walk, lift, carry, understand, remember, follow instructions. Answer to that is yes. Then they look at what they call the listing of impairments. And this is something you can get online and look at. You can just type in listing of impairments and they'll pull up. And they are pre-formatted approval criteria for different conditions. The thing is, they're very hard to meet because most people don't have the medical documentation to meet those.
Right, yeah.
So at step 3, it's not necessarily a pass. It can be a pass-fail If you meet one of the listings, you get approved. If not, we move on.
And then we're back to making sure we've got our doctors documenting our record.
That's correct. And any of the tests that they order for you, you need to go get. Don't put off the MRIs. Don't put off the X-rays. There's a thing called a discogram that's very painful for a lot of people.
Yeah,
go
I
get
always
it
thought
anyway.
disco was very painful.
Yes. And then we move on to step 4 was, can you go back to any work that you've done before? The interesting thing here is that if Social Security decides that you can't, then the burden of proof changes from the person over to the agency. And then in step 5, we look at whether you can do anything else in the national economy.
Okay. Well, sounds good. That's good to know. And I think, when we first started doing some of these shows, I think that one of the things that I learned that I think that people need to know is there's probably, and this is either good, bad, or indifferent, probably more people that qualify for disability than realize it.
Oh, I think so too. And it's kind of a byproduct of where we live. There's a lot of work hard, work as long as you can. That's really drilled into people in this part of the country, maybe more so than other parts of the country. But disability is just not an option for a lot of people, and unfortunately, their bodies give up. I think I mentioned one time before on one of these shows, my uncle hadn't been to the doctor in 15 years. We helped him file for disability. They sent him to the orthopedic examination. The doctor wanted to take him to the emergency room.
Wow.
Right then. His knees were so bad.
Wow.
But he was still working on the farm.
Still working, yeah. Well, if you have questions about qualifying for disability, if you just want to know, if you suddenly this triggered something in your mind, like, hey, wait a minute, maybe I've been struggling along way too long, and there's something out there that I've paid into, that I've paid for this benefit, I've earned it. Maybe it's time to take advantage of it. Give Roy a call, give him your number.
It's like I tell people all the time, if you don't draw your benefits out of the system, the government will spend it on something silly.
Yeah,
so we might as well talk.
Same thing for insurance.
Yes.
People don't want to file that lawsuit in their car wreck. I'm like, you're just giving the insurance company free money.
So I'm at 417-812-6698, 417-812-6698, rings my desk. I'll be in the office this week. Next week I'm on vacation. So when we talk about marketing, we always say a call to action. The call to action, guys, is that I won't be there next week. So give me a call this week.
All right. Thanks, Roy, for joining us, and we'll be back with more stuff on Plan 417. We're going to skip next week's show then.
Yes, I guess so.
Yeah, okay. So
unless you want to do it on site in Gulf Shores.
Well, that sounds like a plan. Peter would probably be down for that. I'd take the producer down there to Gulf Shores. We'll probably have to skip that. Anyway, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you.
I want to be your disability rep.